Kim Ji-han's eyes opened slowly in the darkness. The soft hum of life support systems filled his ears as he lay still in his cryopod. Something was different. The ship felt strange, like it was moving after being still for so long. He pressed the release button with shaking fingers. The pod hissed open, and cold air rushed across his face. Ji-han sat up carefully, his muscles weak from the long sleep. The Aurora's hope was darker than he remembered. Most of the lights were off to save power. "Computer, how long was I asleep?" he asked. "Sleep duration, 312 years. 4 months, 17 days, came the calm reply. Ji-han's heart stopped. 300 years. His mission was supposed to last only 50 years. Something had gone very wrong. He looked around the empty ship. Where was his team? Where were the other scientists? The ship's memory banks told him the terrible truth. A reactor failure had killed everyone else 200 years ago. Only his pod had kept working. He was alone. Outside his ship, Captain Velthor was having a boring day. His patrol ship Star Warden had been flying the same route for months. Nothing ever happened in this part of space. It was empty and quiet. "Captain, I'm getting a strange reading," said his science officer, a tall alien with blue skin. "There's an old ship out there," Velthor sighed. "Probably just space junk." "We see it all the time." "No, sir. This is different. It's a human ship." The captain's 4 eyes opened wide. "That's impossible. Humans died out centuries ago. Everyone knows that. The scanner says there's someone alive inside." Velthor thought for a moment. Human ships were valuable to museums. If there really was a living human, the Science Council would pay well for it. "Take us closer, but be careful. Humans carried terrible diseases." The Star Warden moved slowly toward the old research ship. Velthor looked at the ancient vessel through his window. It was small and simple compared to modern ships. Hard to believe such primitive people had once traveled the stars. "Sir, the life sign is getting stronger. Someone is waking up." "Prepare the medical bay," Velthor ordered. "Full quarantine procedures. You don't want to catch whatever diseases this creature has." Ji-han heard the other ship dock with his. Heavy footsteps echoed through the halls. He stood up slowly, still weak from the long sleep. These visitors might be his only chance to get home. The airlock opened with a loud clang. 5 aliens in protective suits walked in. Their leader was tall, with 4 eyes and green skin. Ji-han had never seen this species before. The aliens stopped when they saw him. They whispered to each other in a language he didn't know. One of them was holding some kind of weapon. "Please," Ji-han said, raising his hands. "I mean no harm. I'm a scientist." The aliens looked shocked. They clearly didn't expect him to speak. Captain Velthor stared at the human. This wasn't what he expected at all. History books said humans were savage and primitive. They were supposed to be dirty, violent creatures who spread death wherever they went. But this human looked normal. He was clean and well-dressed. His eyes were intelligent and kind, spoke clearly, and seemed educated. Double quotes you can talk. Elthair asked in Galactic Standard. "Course I can talk," Ji-han replied in the same language. "I'm Dr. Kim Ji-han, xenobiologist with the Human Deep Space Research Division." "How long was I asleep?" Velthor's mind raced. This human spoke perfect Galactic Standard. That should be impossible. Humans died out before they learned other languages. "The species has been extinct for over 300 years, he said slowly. Ji-han felt dizzy. Extinct? That can't be right. What happened to Earth? "Earth was destroyed," one of the other aliens said. "Your people carried a terrible plague. The Galactic Confederation had to stop you before you infected everyone. A plague." Ji-han shook. His head, "That's not possible. We were working on cures for diseases, not spreading them. Our mission was to help other species with medical problems." The aliens looked at each other. This didn't match their history books at all. Velthor made a decision. "You're coming with us. The Council needs to see you." Council. The Galactic Confederation Council. They decide what happens to dangerous species. As they walked to the alien ship, Ji-han's mind was spinning. 300 years, his whole species extinct. And they thought humans were dangerous plague carriers. Something was very wrong with this story. The humans he knew were peaceful explorers and scientists. They wanted to help other species, not harm them. But if everyone believed humans were evil, who would listen to the truth? Jihan looked back at his ship one last time. The Aurora's hope had kept him alive for 3 centuries. Now it was time to find out what really happened to his people. The alien ship was huge and modern. As they flew away, Jihan watched his old ship disappear into the darkness. He was truly the last human now, but he was alive, and he remembered the truth that had to count for something. The council chamber was the largest room Jihan had ever seen. Tall windows showed the bright lights of Zentari Prime's capital city. 12 different alien species sat in a circle around him. Each one looked powerful and important. Jihan stood in the center, feeling very small. His old research uniform looked shabby next to their fancy clothes. Guards with energy weapons watched him from every corner. "State your name for the record," said a voice from above. "Dr. Kim Jihan, xenobiologist. Human Deep Space Research Division." A creature with tentacles for arms leaned forward. This was Counselor Thexal, the most powerful member of the council. His voice was cold and angry. "You say you were a scientist? But our history shows humans were violent and dangerous. Your people carried diseases that could kill entire worlds." Jihan shook his head. "That's not true. I study alien life forms to help them. My whole team was working on medical cures. We wanted to share our knowledge with other species." "Lies," hissed another. "Counselor, this one looked like a giant lizard with 4 arms. Humans were warmongers. They attacked peaceful ships and stole resources." "I've never attacked anyone," Jihan said quietly. "Neither did anyone I knew. Humans are explorers and scientists. We left Earth to learn about the galaxy, not to hurt it." A bird-like alien with golden feathers spoke up. "Our records are very clear. Humans spread a terrible plague wherever they went. Whole colonies died because of your kind." Jihan felt confused and angry. None of this made sense. What plague? I've never seen any human diseases that could hurt other species. Our biology is different from yours. Our germs can't usually infect aliens. The tentacled counselor's eyes flashed with anger. "Are you saying our records are wrong?" "I'm saying something doesn't add up," Jihan replied. "When did this plague supposedly start? What were the symptoms?" The counselors looked at each other. Maha noticed they seemed uncomfortable with his questions. "The plague began shortly after first contact," said the lizard alien. "Humans arrived in our space around 350 years ago." Jihan frowned. "That's impossible. Humans didn't develop faster than light travel until 400 years ago, and first contact protocols weren't established until 50 years after that." "Are you talking about?" Thexal demanded. "Our first contact rules," Jihan explained. "Every human ship had to follow strict guidelines when meeting new species. We had to study them carefully first. No direct contact until we were sure it was safe for both sides." The council chamber grew quiet. Several counselors whispered too. Each other in languages Jihan didn't understand. A floating alien that looked like a jellyfish spoke in a soft voice. "Tell us about these protocols." Jihan's memory was still fuzzy from the long sleep, but he remembered his training. Step 1 was long-range observation. He would watch a species for at least 10 years before making contact. Step 2 was indirect communication through radio signals. Step 3 was meeting in neutral space with full medical screening for both sides. "More lies," Thexal said, but his voice sounded less sure than before. "I can prove it," Jihan said. "My ship's computers have all the official first contact records. Every human mission followed the same rules." A robotic counselor made clicking sounds that must have been its language, and it spoke in Galactic Standard. "What was the purpose of these rules?" "To protect everyone," Jihan answered. "Humans and aliens both. We knew that mixing different biologies could be dangerous. Protocols were designed to prevent exactly the kind of plague you're talking about." The room fell silent again. Jihan could see doubt in some of the counselors' faces. High up in the observer gallery, Lee Min-ho watched everything carefully. He was young for his job in the council archives. Most people ignored him because he was just a junior researcher. But Min-ho had always been curious about history. The human story was different from everything Min-ho had read in the official records. But it made sense. Real scientists would be careful about diseases. They would have safety rules. Min-ho had always wondered why the historical records about humans were so vague. There were lots of reports about their violence and plague carrying, but very few specific details. No dates, no names, no clear descriptions of events. Your ship's computers, said the bird-like counselor. They could have been programmed with false information. Jihan looked frustrated. Why would we lie to ourselves? These were internal records, not propaganda. They included mission reports, scientific data, personal logs from crew members. Would we fake all of that? His tentacles twisted angrily. Because humans were naturally deceptive. Everyone knows this. How does everyone know this? Jihan asked. Who told you? Did any of you ever actually meet a human before me? The counselors looked uncomfortable. None of them answered. I thought. So, Jihan said quietly, you're judging my entire species based on second-hand information. Stories passed down over centuries. But I'm right here. I can tell you what humans were really like. Min-ho leaned forward in his seat. The human was asking good questions. Questions that Min-ho had wondered about himself. Maybe it was time to look more carefully at those historical records. Maybe the official story wasn't the whole truth. The archive building was dark and empty at night. Lee Min-ho used his security card to open doors that most people never saw. His footsteps echoed in the long hallways as he led Jihan deeper into the restricted sections. Are you sure about this? Jihan whispered. You could get in serious trouble. Min-ho nodded. I've been thinking about your trial for days. Something doesn't feel right about the official story. I want to see the original records. They reached a heavy door marked with warning signs. Min-ho pressed his hand to a scanner. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a vast room filled with computer terminals and data storage units. Thousands of years of galactic history were stored here. Most of it was classified. The human files are over here, Min-ho said, walking to a terminal in the corner, but they're locked behind military-grade encryption. Jihan looked at the screen. Lines of code scrolled past in languages he didn't recognize.
How do we get through that?
I've been studying human technology since you arrived, Min-ho explained. Your people were much more advanced than our history books say. I think they might have left backdoors in some of these systems. For hours they worked together. Typed commands while Jihan helped him understand human coding patterns. Slowly, the encrypted files began to open. The first documents they found were communication records, messages between Confederation leaders from centuries ago. Listen to this, Min-ho read quietly. From Admiral Korthok to the High Council. The human delegation has offered to share their energy technology freely with all member species. This could destabilize our entire economic structure. Jihan frowned. Would Dewey always believed in sharing knowledge? They found more messages. Each one painted a different picture than the official history. Here's another one, Min-ho said. Human medical advances could eliminate most diseases within 50 years. Our pharmaceutical companies are requesting immediate action to protect their interests. Jihan felt sick. They weren't afraid of human diseases. They were afraid human cures would put them out of business. The deeper they dug, the worse it got. Military reports showed that humans had never attacked anyone. Scientific studies proved that human biology couldn't create plagues that affected other species. Financial records showed huge profits from keeping certain technologies rare and expensive. Look at this, Min-ho whispered, opening a video file. It's a recording from a secret council meeting. The screen showed alien leaders sitting around. A table Jihan recognized some of the species from his trial, but these were their ancestors from centuries ago. The human problem must be dealt with, said a familiar-looking tentacled alien. Their technologies threaten everything we've built. But they're peaceful, argued another voice. They've never harmed anyone. Then we make them seem harmful, the first alien replied. Create evidence of violence. spread stories about plagues, make the galaxy fear them. Jihan's hands shook as he watched. They planned it, planned to destroy my people. More files revealed the horrible truth. The plague that supposedly came from humans had been created in Confederation labs. The stories of human violence were complete lies. Even the timeline was wrong. Humans had been wiped out much earlier than anyone admitted. It says here that the last human settlements were destroyed 50 years before the official extinction date, Minho read. They kept killing humans even after announcing they were all dead. A soft beeping sound came from Jihan's pocket. Minho had given him a hidden communicator before they started their search. "Jihan, are you there?" came a voice through the device. "Who is this?" Jihan whispered. "My name is Park Soo-jin. I'm a scientist on the Outer Rim. We've been monitoring Confederation communications since your trial was broadcast." Jihan looked at Minho in surprise. "You broadcast my trial?" Minho nodded. "Standard procedure for important cases." Scientists across the galaxy were watching. Soo-jin's voice continued. "Many of us didn't believe the official story about humans. Your testimony confirmed our suspicions. We've been doing our own research. What did you find?" Jihan asked. "You're not alone," Soo-jin said excitedly. "There are human colonies that survived the genocide. They've been hiding for centuries, but they're still out there." Jihan nearly dropped the communicator. "It's impossible. I thought I was the last one." "The Confederation thinks you are. But some humans escaped to remote star systems. They've been living in secret, afraid to reveal themselves." Tears filled Jihan's eyes. His people weren't extinct. Somewhere in the galaxy, humans were still alive. Many, he asked, were not sure. Maybe thousands, maybe more.
Ow.
They've been very careful to stay hidden. Minho is still reading through files. "Jihan, look at this. There are records of Confederation ships hunting down human survivors for decades after the official extinction. They wanted to make sure none escaped. But some did," Soo-jin said through the communicator. "And now that you've revealed the truth, they might finally be safe to come forward." Jihan looked around the archive room. Centuries of lies surrounded them, but now they had proof of what really happened. "What do we do with all this?" he asked. "We tell everyone," Minho said firmly. "The whole galaxy deserves to know the truth." Soo-jin's voice crackled through the speaker. "We're ready to help. Scientists on dozens of worlds are waiting for your signal." For the first time since waking up, Jihan felt hope. He wasn't just the last survivor anymore. He was the first voice of a people who refused to stay silent. The message traveled through space faster than anyone expected. Within weeks of Jihan's trial broadcast, scientists on distant worlds were sharing the secret files that Minho had helped uncover. The truth about humanity spread from planet to planet like a fire that couldn't be stopped. On the industrial world of Kepler-4, for to be. Choi Hun-woo worked 16 hours a day in the metal factories. His people, the Kolari, had been slaves for so long that most had forgotten what freedom felt like. But when he heard Jihan's story, something changed in his heart. "Listen to me, brothers and sisters," Hyun-woo whispered to his fellow workers. During their short break, the human on the news wasn't lying. "I've seen the proof." His friend Daeho looked scared. "Don't talk about that here. The overseers will hear you." "Let them hear," Han-woo said louder. "The humans were destroyed because they wanted to share their technology freely. They believed all species should be equal. That's the same thing." "We want more workers gathered around him." For the first time in years, Hyun-woo saw hope in their eyes. "The Confederation keeps us working in these factories because we're cheap labor," he continued. "But what if we had the energy technology the humans developed? What if we could power our cities without destroying our bodies in these mines?" Within days, Hyun-woo's words spread to factories across the planet. Workers who had never spoken to each other began meeting in secret. They shared the evidence about human genocide and started asking dangerous questions about their own situation. Meanwhile, the Confederation was panicking. Emergency council meetings were held every day. "Counselor." This tentacles writhed with anger as he read intelligence reports. "The terrorists' lies are spreading to dozens of worlds," he announced to his fellow counselors. "We must stop this before it gets out of control." "How?" asked the lizard-like counselor. He's already shown them the classified files. The evidence is everywhere now. We brand him a terrorist and hunt him down, Dexel decided. Send hunter fleets to find this Jihan and arrest anyone spreading his propaganda. But their plan backfired badly. Every time Confederation forces tried to silence someone, 10 more people started asking questions. The harder they tried to hide the truth, the more obvious it became that they were lying. On a research station near the Galactic Rim, Park Soo-jin received an encrypted message that made her heart race. The human survivors were ready to reveal themselves. Jihan, she said through the secret communicator. They want to meet you. Jihan was hiding on a cargo ship with Minho and several other rebel scientists. Where? A place called New Seoul. It's in an uncharted system. They've been there for almost 300 years. 2 weeks later, Jihan stood on the surface of a world that looked almost like old Earth. Green hills, blue skies, and a city that mixed human architecture with alien influences. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Welcome home," said a woman with kind eyes and graying hair. "I'm Yang Soyoung, the settlement leader." Jihan looked around at the hundreds of humans who had come to greet him. Men, women, children, all. Descendants of the colonists who had escaped the genocide centuries ago? "I thought I was the last one," he whispered. "You were never alone," Soyoung replied. "We've been here all along, waiting for the day when it would be safe to speak the truth." Led him through the city, showing him schools, hospitals, and research centers. The humans of New Seoul had continued developing technology while staying hidden from the galaxy. "We perfected the energy systems your generation started," Soyoung explained. "We can power entire cities with devices the size of your fist. Our medical technology can cure diseases that still kill millions across the galaxy." "Why didn't you reveal yourselves before?" Jihan asked. "Because we knew they would try to destroy us again," she said sadly. "The Confederation couldn't let our ideas spread. As long as people compete against each other, the powerful stay powerful. But when people work together, everything changes," Jihan finished. That night, representatives from 17 star systems joined a secret meeting through encrypted channels. Choi Heinwoo spoke from his factory world. Soo-jin reported from her research station. Minho shared intelligence from the Confederation archives. "The evidence is spreading faster than they can stop it," Minho announced. "Dozens of species are questioning the official histories about their own worlds." "My people are ready to fight," Hyunwoo added, "organizing strikes in all the major industrial centers." Soyoung looked at Jihan. "God, the question is, are you ready to lead this revolution? You're the symbol they can't ignore." Jihan thought about his long sleep, his lost teammates, the 3 centuries of lies that had hidden the truth about humanity. Then he looked at the faces around him, human and alien alike, all united by a simple belief that every thinking being deserved freedom and dignity. "I never wanted to be a leader," he said quietly. "I just wanted to be a scientist. But if my voice can help bring justice." He straightened his shoulders and looked directly at the camera, transmitting his image across the galaxy. "Then let's show them what cooperation can really accomplish." The revolution had found its voice. The Grand Assembly Hall was the largest building in the known galaxy. Representatives from 10,000 worlds filled the massive chamber, their voices creating a constant buzz of conversation in hundreds of different languages. But when Jihan walked to the center platform, complete silence fell over the crowd. He looked up at the towering seats that surrounded him. Creatures of every shape and size stared down at him. Some had tentacles, others had wings. Some floated in the air, while others crawled on multiple legs. But all of them were watching him with the same expression, curiosity mixed with fear. "Citizens of the galaxy," Jihan began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber speakers. 3 months ago, you were told I was a dangerous terrorist spreading lies about your government." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Many had seen the broadcasts of his original trial. "Today I stand before you with proof of the greatest crime in galactic history," he continued. "The systematic murder of an entire species, my species too. Protect the power of a few." Giant screens around the hall lit up, showing the classified documents that Minho had helped him find. Financial records, military orders, secret meeting recordings, all the evidence of the conspiracy against humanity. The Confederation told you that humans carried a deadly plague, Jihan said. But their own scientists proved this was impossible. They told you we were violent warmongers. But their own military reports show we never attacked anyone. The screens showed video after video of peaceful human settlements, scientists sharing medical knowledge, explorers offering help to struggling colonies, engineers teaching clean energy technology to anyone who wanted to learn. Counselor the Xal stood up from his high seat, his tentacles waving angrily. Even if some of this is true, your kind was still dangerous to galactic stability. Dangerous? Jihan asked quietly. Let me show you what we were really dangerous to. The screens changed to show profit reports from major corporations, energy companies that charged huge amounts for basic power, medical firms that kept life-saving treatments expensive and rare, military contractors that sold weapons to both sides of every conflict. We were dangerous to their business model, Jihan explained. Humans believed that knowledge should be free, that energy and medicine were basic rights, not luxury products. That species should work together instead of fighting each other. A representative from the industrial world of Kepler for 4 to be stood up. It was Choi Hoon-woo, still wearing his factory worker's clothes. The human speaks the truth. My people have been slaves for centuries, told it was for the good of galactic stability. But stability for who? More voices joined in from across the chamber. Representatives who had been silent for generations began speaking up. They told stories of exploitation, of being forced to sell their resources cheaply while buying manufactured goods at high prices, of being told they weren't advanced enough for better technology. Order. Order. This soul shouted, but his voice was lost in the growing noise. Jihan held up his hand, and the chamber quieted again. The evidence shows that 73 different species have been kept in artificial poverty to maintain the current power structure. Humans weren't the first to be eliminated for threatening this system, but we were the largest target. Yang Soyang appeared on one of the screens, broadcasting from New Seoul. Behind her, hundreds of human survivors could be seen working alongside aliens who had joined their hidden colony. We preserved more than just human life, she said too. The assembly, we preserved human values. For 300 years, we've been developing technology that could end hunger, disease, and energy shortages across the galaxy. We kept these innovations safe, waiting for the day when they could be shared freely. The impact was immediate. Representatives began demanding answers from their governments. Why had they been told certain technologies were impossible when humans had developed them centuries ago? Why were their worlds kept poor when solutions existed? Within hours, the first riots began on industrial worlds. Within days, entire governments were overthrown as citizens demanded access to the suppressed technologies. The Confederation's carefully controlled galaxy began falling apart. The Xal made one final desperate attempt to maintain control. Even if you destroy us, chaos will follow. The galaxy needs strong leadership. Jihan looked up at the alien who had orchestrated so much suffering. The galaxy needs honest leadership, leadership that serves all people, not just the powerful. Park Soo-jin stood up in the observer section. We propose a new galactic government based on the principles humanity died defending. Equal representation for all species. Free sharing of technology and knowledge. Cooperation instead of exploitation. Representatives from 9,000 worlds supported the new system. Only the inner core worlds, controlled by the old power structure, voted against it. 3 months later, Jihan stood in his garden on New Seoul, watching the sky. Hundreds of ships from different worlds were arriving every day, not warships or cargo vessels, but scientific expeditions and cultural exchanges. Species that had been kept apart for centuries were finally meeting as equals. A small alien child ran up to him, followed by her human friend from the settlement school. They were laughing and playing together, speaking a mixture of their native languages. Mr. Jihan, the alien child, said, "My teacher says you saved the galaxy. Is that true?" Jihan smiled and knelt down to their level. "I didn't save anything. I just told the truth." The galaxy saved itself. He looked up at the stars, where 1,000 worlds were building a better future together, humanity's greatest. Gift hadn't been their technology or their knowledge. It had been their simple belief that everyone deserved a chance to be free.